Banks are yet again in the spotlight. UK banks are declaring healthy profits again. Now we need to get behind the headlines. So to help us do so is Séan Rickard. Now Séan, some people are saying we need healthy banks. They're good for the economy. We need to get them back. So profits are good. Other people are saying, hey, this is taxpayers' money at stake here. And anyway, the banks aren't doing a good job. They're undermining the whole future of the economy by not giving out enough loans. Where do you stand on this?
Well, it's certainly the case that any economy needs efficient banks. We need certainly retail banks in order to carry out our business, our everyday moving of money around. So we need profitable, efficient banks. The question I think raised here is to what extent do these return to profitability, in fact rather large profits, reflect efficiency, doing a good job for the economy, and to what extent is it them taking advantage of their power base and their ability to widen margins and to force small businesses and individuals to pay higher charges. And one rather suspects it's more of the latter rather than the former.
So you're not really an advocate for the banks saying, look, we've really got to get ourselves in a much stronger position because, we are the economy. We hold such a big position.
I think we've got to get a little realistic here. The banks brought this economy to its knees. There's too much talk about how important the banks are and indeed what a great contribution they make to the economy. It needs to be said very clearly indeed that retail banking is probably on a par with the people who produce electricity, who produce water. It is a utility. It is not rocket science. It is something that must exist for the economy to function. And if those banks are not providing the economy with the funding, the liquidity it needs in order to carry out its business, and there seems to be some evidence that it is not doing that at the moment, then one has to say, what are these profits for? What is it that they are delivering to the economy at this time that justifies such high profits?
Now, you're not alone in criticising the banks. There's been lots and lots of talk about regulation, but not much action yet. Do you see that the way forward is regulation?
I think we are going to have more regulation. I think it would be politically unacceptable to have witnessed the events of the last 3 years and to then say, well, it's back to business as usual. That really cannot happen. And it shouldn't happen from either a political or an economic sense. Why isn't there so much action today? The banks are incredibly powerful. Goodness me, they must be lobbying very hard behind the scenes, and we know that they have a great deal of influence. I only hope that politicians retain their nerve, remember the abyss they looked into just 3 or 4 years ago, and make it absolutely clear that in future we must never return to that situation again, and indeed we must not have a situation where banks are too big to fail. They're taking no risks in that case because at the end of the day we'll always bail them out. And therefore there's no justification for any profit. We've got to get back to a realistic world where retail banks do what they're meant to do and investment banks and people who want to speculate with their money, not our money, or take risks that we are going to have to pick up.
Now, if we look at retail banking, one possibility is a new bank, Metro, Virgin. These are setting up with a whole new agenda and a fresh face, if you like. Should we all start voting with our feet?
Well, we should really. Competition is the proven force for bringing about a better service for us. Really, the banks at the moment, they operate as an oligopoly and they have become the masters rather than the servants of their customers. And the solution to that is more competition. One shouldn't underestimate the huge difficulties of getting a new bank, a branch of banks up and running. But powerful players like Tesco, Virgin Money, Australian National Bank, etc. They have perhaps the means to do it, and it is in our interest that such organisations are encouraged here to set up their own networks. And then To make it work, of course, we've got to become a little less reticent about moving our accounts. If we don't think we're getting a good service, if we don't think we're being treated as well as we should be, then we should move.
Sean, some forthright opinions there. Thank you very much.